Have you ever noticed how your mind races ahead of life itself? How decisions that seem simple at first quickly become heavy? How doubt and worry arrive before clarity? Have you felt that despite your best intentions, your thoughts scatter, emotions run unchecked, and your heart is restless? Are there moments when regret or frustration lingers longer than it should, leaving you drained and uncertain? Consider your daily experiences. The sudden harsh word from a colleague, the urgency of endless tasks, the pull of craving or aversion, the endless notifications demanding attention. Why is it that some people navigate such circumstances with calm and clarity, responding with ease and understanding, while others feel constantly swept away by habit, emotion, and distraction? What allows some minds to act skillfully rather than react impulsively, to remain steady amidst the turbulence of life? The Buddha observed these patterns with unparalleled clarity. He saw the restless, anxious, and reactive nature of the untrained mind, and he also showed a path to freedom. This path is not a distant ideal or mystical attainment. It is tangible, immediate, and grounded in the cultivation of the mind itself. It begins here and now, within the ordinary flow of life, through deliberate practice, observation, and awareness. At the heart of this teaching are three pillars: ethics, Śīla, concentration, Samādhi, and wisdom, Prajñā. These pillars are not abstract ideals or moralistic concepts. They are precise, practical methods for training the mind. Each is interdependent, each essential for liberation. Together, they provide the foundation, the stability, and the insight necessary to navigate life with clarity, equanimity, and freedom. This teaching is both profound and practical. It is not a philosophy to be pondered from a distance, nor a motivational idea to inspire fleeting enthusiasm. It is a lived practice rooted in observation, ethics, and deep understanding. By exploring ethics, concentration, and wisdom, you will see how each moment offers an opportunity to train the mind, free it from habitual patterns, and awaken to reality as it truly is. Life itself becomes the meditation hall, the classroom, and the laboratory for cultivating freedom. Ethics, Śīla, the foundation of steadiness and purity. Ethics, or Śīla, forms the indispensable foundation of the Buddha's path. It is often translated as moral discipline or ethical conduct, but its depth goes far beyond conventional notions of right and wrong. Ethics is the deliberate cultivation of body, speech, and mind in harmony with wisdom, grounded in an understanding of causality and the consequences of action. Ethical conduct purifies both external behavior and internal mental states, for unwholesome actions disturb the mind, while wholesome conduct stabilizes it. The Buddha never presented ethical living as a set of arbitrary rules imposed by society or deity. Rather, ethics arises naturally when one observes the roots of suffering, greed, hatred, and delusion, and chooses restraint from actions that would strengthen these tendencies. It is not abstention for its own sake, but conscious alignment with causes that lead to the reduction of suffering and the cultivation of well-being. Ethics functions on multiple levels. At the physical level, it restrains harmful bodily acts such as killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct. At the verbal level, it restrains lying, harsh speech, divisive speech, and idle chatter. At the mental level, it restrains covetousness, ill will, and delusion. By restraining unwholesome actions, the mind is freed from remorse, guilt, and agitation, obstacles that prevent the development of concentrated attention. Ethics is not simply about following rules. It is the cultivation of integrity in thought, speech, and action. When intention aligns with behavior, the mind remains undisturbed by regret. Wholesome actions, when performed consistently, generate confidence, ease, and a sense of safety. The Buddha repeatedly described ethics as the foundation upon which concentration and wisdom are built. Without it, the mind is like water churned by wind, unstable, scattered, and incapable of clear reflection. Practicing ethics requires observation and discernment in daily life. It involves noticing impulses as they arise and examining whether acting on them would lead to harm. Speaking honestly, even when deception might serve immediate gain. Acting fairly, even when shortcuts tempt, and maintaining patience and compassion under provocation. These are concrete expressions of ethical practice. Each act, however small, strengthens the mind, gradually purifying it from the turbulence of unwholesome tendencies. Ethics is also intimately connected with karma. Wholesome actions lead to skillful results, creating conditions conducive to joy, ease, and clarity of mind. Conversely, unwholesome actions bring suffering. Ethical living thus purifies both conduct and mind, forming the fertile ground upon which concentration and insight can develop. A mind grounded in ethics becomes sensitive to the effects of intention and action, allowing one to perceive cause and effect in the unfolding of daily experience. Over time, this sensitivity extends to observing thoughts, feelings, and sensations themselves, revealing the impermanent, conditioned, and non-self nature of all phenomena. Ethics is both foundation and gateway. It stabilizes the mind and initiates the deepening of understanding that will later mature into wisdom. In the Buddha's teaching, ethics is both preventive and preparatory. It prevents the mind from generating new disturbances and prepares it for concentration, which is necessary to penetrate reality. It is cultivated not out of fear of punishment or desire for reward, but from understanding the conditions that lead to suffering and the path that leads to its cessation. By living ethically, the practitioner experiences firsthand the harmony, ease, and absence of remorse that ethical living produces, making the mind ready for the deeper work of meditation and insight. To practice ethics deeply, observe every action, speech, and thought with mindfulness and discernment. Investigate habitual tendencies, noticing how greed, aversion, and delusion arise, and respond with restraint and awareness. Ethical conduct is thus inner purification, a continuous training to live in harmony with reality and the principles that lead to freedom. As the Buddha emphasized, without ethics, the mind cannot settle. Without a settled mind, insight cannot arise. Without insight, liberation is not possible. Concentration, Samādhi, the stabilization and unification of mind. Concentration, or Samādhi, is the second pillar of the Buddha's path. It is often translated simply as focus or meditation, but its depth extends far beyond common understanding. It is the deliberate cultivation of a mind that is unified, collected, and capable of profound clarity, free from distraction, agitation, and dullness. Samādhi is the natural fruit of a mind grounded in ethics, yet it is also the essential training that prepares the mind for the arising of true wisdom. The Buddha repeatedly emphasized that a mind lacking concentration is like water churned by wind, unable to reflect reality clearly. Samādhi is the art of stilling that turbulence. It is achieved not through force or suppression, but through careful observation, mindfulness, and disciplined attention. As the mind becomes steady, it reveals its luminous, discerning nature, capable of observing phenomena as they truly are. Samādhi operates on several levels. At the preliminary stage, it manifests as the ability to sustain attention on a chosen object, breath, bodily sensations, or a wholesome reflection. The practitioner notices wandering thoughts, distractions, and impulses, and gently returns the mind to the object of focus. This repeated return cultivates a pliant, unified, and vigilant mind. With sustained practice, deeper levels of Samādhi, described by the Buddha as jhanas, may arise. Each jhana represents a progressive state of meditative absorption, characterized by increasing refinement, stability, and subtlety. The first jhana arises with applied and sustained thought, accompanied by joy and pleasure born of seclusion. The second jhana transcends applied thought, marked by unification of attention and inner joy. The third jhana is equanimous, with pleasure tempered by full mindfulness. The fourth jhana embodies pure equanimity and mental clarity, beyond pleasure and pain. These states are not ends in themselves. They are instruments that stabilize the mind and prepare it to perceive reality directly, facilitating the arising of wisdom. Mindfulness of breathing, or anapanasati, is a principal gateway to Samādhi. By observing subtle movements of the breath, the practitioner cultivates sustained attention, calms bodily and mental agitation, and develops joy and ease in the present moment. When concentration matures, the mind is sufficiently unified to observe the arising and passing of thoughts, feelings, and sensations with clarity, free from attachment or aversion. In daily life, Samādhi is cultivated not only in formal meditation, but through sustained mindfulness of ordinary activity. Whether walking, speaking, eating, or working, the mind can be trained to remain fully present. Distractions are observed without being carried away. Habitual reactions are tempered by awareness. Attention is deliberately directed to the present task. Each activity, no matter how mundane, becomes an opportunity to stabilize the mind and deepen concentration. Samādhi also serves as the bridge to wisdom. A mind that is scattered or restless cannot penetrate the impermanent and non-self nature of experience. Only a mind collected through concentration can observe phenomena clearly, discerning their arising and passing without distortion. In this way, Samādhi prepares the field for the arising of insight, illuminating the conditions that give rise to suffering and the path that leads to its cessation. The Buddha emphasized that Samādhi is cultivated gradually, precisely, and without coercion. It is developed through careful observation of the mind's tendencies, consistent practice, and skillful application of mindfulness. Its development protects the mind from distraction and agitation and prepares it for the direct observation of reality. As the practitioner's concentration deepens, the mind becomes pliant, luminous, and capable of profound insight. Samādhi is not a retreat from life. Every moment, every conversation, and every challenge can serve as a field for cultivating attention and equanimity. Through disciplined, yet gentle practice, the mind becomes unified and clear, ready to engage life with skill and understanding. Concentration transforms ordinary experience into a platform for insight, forming the essential bridge between ethical living and liberating wisdom. Wisdom, Prajñā, the illuminating insight of the mind. Wisdom, or Prajñā, is the third pillar of the Buddha's path. It is the faculty of insight that perceives reality as it truly is, beyond the distortions of habit, craving, or aversion. Unlike mere intellectual knowledge, wisdom arises from direct observation and understanding, grounded in the disciplined cultivation of ethics and concentration. It is the mind's capacity to discern the impermanent, unsatisfactory, and non-self nature of phenomena, enabling skillful response and liberation from suffering. The Buddha taught that a mind lacking wisdom may act ethically and concentrate diligently, yet still be bound by misunderstanding. Ethics without insight can lead to rigid morality or superficial virtue. Concentration without insight may produce calm and clarity, but cannot penetrate the causes and conditions of suffering. Wisdom illuminates the path, showing the arising and cessation of dukkha, suffering, the interdependence of phenomena, and the consequences of action. Wisdom develops in close interaction with ethics and concentration. A mind grounded in ethical conduct is free from remorse and inner conflict, providing a stable foundation for clear observation. Concentration unifies attention, reducing distraction and agitation, and enabling sustained contemplation. Within this steadiness, insight arises naturally, revealing the conditioned, impermanent, and selfless nature of all experience. Practically, wisdom manifests as the ability to perceive habitual patterns in oneself and others. Consider recurring tensions in relationships. With ethics, one acts with integrity and compassion. With concentration, one observes emotions and impulses as they arise. With wisdom, one discerns the underlying patterns of craving, aversion, and misunderstanding that give rise to conflict. Insight allows for skillful response, breaking the cycle of reactive behavior and creating space for understanding, patience, and harmony. In daily life, wisdom is cultivated moment by moment. One observes thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations as they arise and pass, noting their transient nature. One recognizes that craving, aversion, and attachment are causes of suffering, and that letting go of clinging produces freedom. This direct observation is not abstract. It is lived experience, grounded in concrete, observable phenomena. Insight informs ethical choices and guides attention, forming a continuous loop of observation, reflection, and skillful action. The Buddha emphasized three characteristics of existence: impermanence, anicca, suffering, dukkha, and non-self, anatta, as the essential insights to cultivate. Through mindful observation, one sees that all conditioned phenomena arise due to causes and conditions, are subject to change, and lack an enduring, independent self. This understanding dissolves attachment and aversion, allowing the mind to rest in clarity and equanimity. Wisdom is not only cognitive, but deeply experiential. One may see, for example, how anger arises when expectations are unmet, how desire drives repeated dissatisfaction, or how self-concern shapes perception. By observing these patterns with concentration and ethical awareness, insight deepens. The practitioner recognizes not only the impermanent nature of emotions and thoughts, but also the freedom available through mindful, skillful response. Through continuous cultivation, wisdom permeates every aspect of life. Ethical actions are guided by understanding. Concentration is sustained by insight. Ordinary experiences become opportunities for reflection and liberation. The three pillars operate in harmony. Ethics stabilizes the mind, concentration unifies it, and wisdom illuminates it. Together, they form a complete system that transforms ordinary life into a path of freedom, moment by moment. Ultimately, wisdom leads to liberation. By seeing the arising and passing of phenomena without clinging, the mind disentangles from habitual patterns, aversion, and craving. One acts from clarity rather than impulse, responds rather than reacts, and engages with life fully aware of its impermanent and conditioned nature. Insight is not theoretical. It is the lived understanding that enables freedom here and now, in every moment, in every action, in every thought. Using the three pillars in everyday life, ethics, concentration, and wisdom are not isolated practices. They are interdependent and mutually reinforcing. The Buddha emphasized that ethical conduct stabilizes the mind, concentration unifies it, and wisdom illuminates it. Each pillar strengthens and supports the others, forming a complete path to liberation. Without this integration, practice remains partial, and the mind remains vulnerable to disturbance, distraction, and misunderstanding. Consider the nature of daily life. Challenges rarely arrive in neat, separate packages. Emotions surge unpredictably, responsibilities intersect, and habits pull the mind in multiple directions. In such circumstances, each pillar functions simultaneously. Ethics guides action and speech, reducing the internal conflict that scatters attention. Concentration brings steady awareness, allowing the practitioner to observe thoughts, emotions, and sensations clearly. Wisdom discerns patterns, understanding the causes and conditions of suffering and guiding responses skillfully. Together, the three pillars create a resilient mind capable of meeting life with clarity, patience, and insight. Practical application begins with noticing the ordinary moments that test attention, emotion, and understanding. When irritation arises, ethics encourages restraint and compassionate response. Concentration allows you to observe the rising anger without being carried away. Wisdom perceives the transient nature of the emotion, the underlying expectations that triggered it, and the consequences of action. From this insight, you can choose a response that is skillful, reducing harm and fostering understanding. Even seemingly mundane activities can become fields of practice. Washing dishes, walking, or completing work tasks can all be approached with mindful attention, ethical consideration, and reflective insight. Observing the body and mind as actions unfold cultivates concentration, while acting ethically stabilizes the mind and nurtures wholesome conditions. Reflecting on patterns of thought and behavior develops wisdom. Through repeated moment-to-moment application, ordinary experiences are transformed into laboratories for liberation. Integration also occurs on a subtle level within the mind. Ethical conduct reduces internal conflict, which allows concentration to deepen naturally. Concentration stabilizes awareness, revealing habitual tendencies and mental patterns. Wisdom perceives these patterns, recognizing impermanence, conditionality, and non-self, and guides further ethical action and attentive presence. The three pillars operate as a continuous loop, mutually reinforcing one another, shaping perception, behavior, and understanding. The Buddha emphasized that practice should be gradual, consistent, and skillful. One does not wait for extraordinary circumstances to cultivate the pillars. One begins with the ordinary, moment by moment. Each conversation, decision, and task is an opportunity to observe, act, and reflect. Over time, the mind becomes progressively steadier, more lucid, and less prone to habitual reaction. Consider a person navigating a busy day of work and home responsibilities. Without ethics, they may act impulsively, speak harshly, or let irritation dominate interactions. Without concentration, attention is scattered, and reactions are reactive rather than deliberate. Without wisdom, even well-intended actions may be misapplied or unhelpful. With integrated practice, the same individual can respond to challenges with clarity and balance. Ethics ensures actions are aligned with wholesome principles. Concentration maintains presence and focus, and wisdom informs discernment, allowing skillful, compassionate, and effective responses. The integration of the three pillars transforms not only external behavior, but also the internal landscape of the mind. Irritation, craving, and restlessness are observed and understood rather than suppressed or ignored. Mental clarity increases. Habitual patterns of thought and emotion are seen and gradually released, and skillful action arises naturally. Life itself becomes the meditation hall, the classroom, and the field for liberation. Ordinary moments, once overlooked or resisted, become opportunities for cultivating freedom, clarity, and insight. Ultimately, the Buddhist teaching on the three pillars is both profound and practical. Ethics stabilizes, concentration strengthens, and wisdom illuminates. Integrated practice is a continuous living process that transforms the mind, shapes perception, and guides behavior. Through diligent application in daily life, the practitioner experiences freedom from habitual reaction, insight into the nature of reality, and the capacity to act with clarity, compassion, and skill in every moment. In this way, the pillars of ethics, concentration, and wisdom are not distant ideals, but immediate tools for living, moment by moment, here and now. Walking the path of liberation. The journey through ethics, concentration, and wisdom is a journey into the heart of the Buddha's teaching and into the depths of one's own mind. Each pillar is essential, each moment of practice transformative. Ethics stabilizes the mind, concentration unifies it, and wisdom illuminates the nature of reality. Together, they form an inseparable triad, guiding the practitioner from ordinary awareness to profound insight and liberation. The Buddha emphasized that liberation is not a distant, abstract ideal. It is discovered within the ordinary flow of life, in each action, thought, and sensation. Every moment presents an opportunity to observe the mind, act with integrity, and discern the patterns that condition experience. Through this continuous practice, the mind gradually becomes calm, lucid, and free from habitual reactivity. Practicing the pillars does not require extraordinary circumstances or retreat from daily responsibilities. Walking, speaking, working, and even routine tasks can all become fields of cultivation. Ethical conduct ensures that actions are wholesome and the mind is steady. Concentration allows one to remain present and attentive, observing mental and physical phenomena with clarity. Wisdom reveals the transient, conditional, and non-self nature of experience, guiding skillful and compassionate responses. In this way, the ordinary becomes extraordinary, and daily life itself becomes the practice ground for liberation. The integration of the three pillars is dynamic. Ethics, concentration, and wisdom mutually reinforce one another. Ethical action fosters inner stability, which deepens concentration. Concentration clarifies perception, which enhances insight, and insight informs ethical conduct, creating a virtuous cycle that gradually transforms the mind. Practicing in this way cultivates not only mental calm and clarity, but also a life lived with awareness, intentionality, and freedom. As you move through each day, invite yourself to notice habitual reactions. Observe the arising of emotions and thoughts, and respond with integrity and understanding. Begin with small, deliberate acts. Pause before speaking. Observe the breath while walking. Reflect on patterns of thought and behavior. Over time, these acts accumulate, gradually shaping a mind that is steady, perceptive, and liberated. The Buddha's teaching is precise and practical. Liberation is accessible to anyone who observes, reflects, and cultivates the mind with diligence and care. Ethics, concentration, and wisdom are not abstract ideals. They are tools, instruments, and companions for life itself. By practicing them moment by moment, choice by choice, the practitioner awakens to the freedom, clarity, and profound insight that is the hallmark of the awakened mind. Walk the path with mindfulness, patience, and diligence. Let every moment be an opportunity to cultivate ethics, unify attention through concentration, and illuminate experience with wisdom. In doing so, life itself becomes the meditation hall, and every ordinary moment becomes a step toward liberation. Mastery begins within. The freedom the Buddha pointed to is realized here and now in the flow of daily life through the careful and continuous cultivation of the three pillars. If this wisdom resonates with you, please like this video and subscribe to join us on the path of conscious living.